Hello, everyone. It is truly a pleasure to be here with you today, and thank you for joining us. For those of you who don't know me or recognize my voice, my name is Chris Rechsteiner, and that should sound familiar because my wife, Christy, is the owner, editor, and publisher of SweepSheet. And right now, you're probably asking yourself, well, why is this guy talking to us? And that's a great question. At the most recent Sweepstakes Convention, Shauna, our host, asked if I would be willing to share a session on sweepstakes and technology. And if you know Shauna, when she asks you something, your answer is, yes, ma'am. So here I am. A lot of you asked if I could record this session and we could make it available to people who were not able to attend, and here you go. So right now, the only thing everyone is talking about in technology is artificial intelligence. So I thought a session on sweepstakes in the age of AI would be timely and hopefully valuable. But before I begin, I want you to know that if you have any questions, please share them in the chat on this video, or we will create a topic and conversation corner and you can ask them there. I will be certain that all of them are answered. If it's a really big one, we'll do another video. If it's a small one, we'll make sure that just the text is provided, but we'll get you answers. All right, with that, let's get started. So raise your hand if you've ever received an email, a message on Facebook or Instagram or X that said, "Congratulations, you won," and you had no idea if it was real. Now, raise your hand if you've ever entered so many sweepstakes in one day that even your pets looked concerned. And here's the thing. The way sweepstakes are run, judged, and even disqualified is changing really fast. And it's about a lot more than just sponsors and judging agencies. Now, you don't need to understand everything happening with AI, but you do need to know how it's being used in sweepstakes and what to watch for, because it's changing the landscape very quickly. Today, I'm going to share with you just a little bit about how AI is impacting sweepstakes and how it might impact your entries too. So let's dig in. Let's start with automation. Sponsors are increasingly using tools like Viral Sweep, Gleam, WooBox, and dozens of others. These platforms help them track entries, validate them, and most importantly, filter them. They rarely do any of this with a human eye anymore. They are using bots that, to be frank, are designed to catch other bots. And if you're too good at what you do, you may look like a bot and get flagged as one for doing nothing more than entering sweepstakes really efficiently. So let me give you a real example. Let's take a person, let's call him Chris. And he enters over 300 sweepstakes one morning, all legit. But the system flagged him, because he was too fast. The entries looked automated. They looked like a bot. And here's the thing, AI doesn't always get it right, but it doesn't matter because it's there and it's going to become even more prevalent, and we need to know how it works so we can work within its guidelines. So if you're planning on entering a lot of sweepstakes online, or if you are right now, especially on social media, what do? First thing, don't enter hundreds or even dozens of sweeps in a row with autofill on a single platform. Avoid using VPNs or browser extensions that hide your location. These will immediately look questionable to sponsors. Now, they're very easy things to remember. They're very easy things to do, but they're really important. But now let's talk about the invisible stuff. The cookies, the pixels, the digital crumbs that you're leaving everywhere. When you visit a sweepstakes page, or you visit any web page, it's noting what time you visited, how long you stayed, what browser you used, where you're located, how many times you visited the site, and even what type of device or devices you're using if you're using more than one. These tools help sponsors make sure that you're a real unique person. But they also mean that you can get flagged if you click too fast or bounce around pages too quickly. These are ways that make your interaction look like a bot. So 2 tips for successfully managing this situation. First, read the cookie prompt. If you're uncomfortable with what they ask, use your browser's incognito mode. However, it's important to remember that the more you hide from the entry process, the more negative impact it will have on your entries. So be a little careful with the incognito mode. Second, if you're super dedicated to privacy, what I recommend is using a sweeps-only browser profile to stay organized and reduce tracking conflicts. This is very similar to using a sweeps-only email. It's just the browser profile. Keeps everything separate from who you are and what you do, and that way you're going to be more likely to have a better experience in working with those sites, knowing that your use case is specific to what they're expecting. The bottom line, this is a rapidly changing landscape. Recognizing this and understanding how the systems that manage sweepstakes and social platforms operate is more important than ever. So think back. Do you remember the days when it was only about mailing in postcards and 3x5 index cards? It's crazy that today you can scan a QR code at a gas pump, or scan a QR code on your donut, text in the code from your receipt, or tag a friend on Instagram and win instantly. Today, social media is the sweepstakes arena. And it begs the question, why? And it's also here another simple answer. There's simply too much data to be gathered using them, and that data is incredibly valuable to sponsors. Unfortunately, that data is even more valuable to the social platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, you name it, who are all using their own AI to detect fraud, bots, and spam to provide the best experiences possible so they can make the most money. Did you tag the same person in 30 giveaways today? If you did, this might be a problem. Did you copy and paste the same comment in 100 posts? That's going to be a red flag too. These behaviors aren't the sweepstakes sponsors banning you or invalidating your entries. These behaviors are the platforms themselves taking action and minimizing undesirable behaviors to protect their platforms and their revenue streams. And here's what you can do. Always vary your comments. Tag different friends. And when permissible, not a hashtag associated with a particular sweeps, use different hashtags. The more natural your engagement, the safer your profile on these social platforms is going to be, and the more real your entries will appear to be to the sweepstakes judging agencies and sponsors. Now, while all of this technology is truly amazing, the fact that social networks are more ubiquitous than ever and AI is incredibly smart means the doors are open wider than ever for scams, fake sweepstakes pages, fake prize claim pages, DMs asking for your personal information, phony prize notifications with sketchy links. You've seen this happen on Facebook. It used to happen all the time. Christy would do a giveaway within SweepSheet, and instantaneously there would be posts saying you won from URLs and sites and people who had no association with sweepstakes or with SweepSheet. It's a mess out there. So how do you protect yourself? Well, as you know, sweeps only emails. Don't mix it with your personal stuff. And if you don't have a sweeps only profile in your browser, as I mentioned, now would be a really good time to set one up. It's very easy. Second, verify before you click. Real sweepstakes have rules, contact information, and are hosted from legitimate domains. If you found it on SweepSheet, go back and verify the details. They're in the database for every sweepstakes that is provided. All of the details, links to the rules, everything is there for you to verify. Third, most importantly, never pay to claim a prize. Even if they only want $5 for shipping, you're not getting that prize. You're funding a scam that's going to end up costing you a lot more than $5. A few important tips. First, look carefully at the URLs. It is incredibly common for Cyrillic letters, E's, A's, O's, to be used to spoof actual sites. And bad actors can spin up thousands of websites with spoofed URLs in a matter of seconds. It's that fast. Now, if you're at all skeptical about the URL, the safest thing to do is copy everything after the domain. That's after the .com and the slash. That section of the URL is called the path. What you want to do is copy that, then type in the actual domain into the browser, so in this case, sweepsheet.com, then paste in the path, everything that comes after the .com. This way, you know you're getting to the right page, and if that page can't be found, you know it's not legit. Now, as you see on the screen here, this is a very simple example using readily and easily identifiable differences in the E's. In many cases, it's not that simple. And it's also not that simple when you're ripping through tons of sweepstakes to enter. It's very easy to miss something like this. And all of a sudden, you're clicking on a page and you're in a lot of trouble. To give you an idea of how prevalent this is, Citibank dealt with this, of a site using a Cyrillic A, capture information from customers, and essentially create a massive amount of fraud and some pretty significant headaches for them. The point being, this is a really big deal. Be very careful of the URLs, and if you aren't sure, copy the path, manually type in the URL, paste that path, and then see if you're good to go. Now, second item, spot poor grammar. As crazy as this sounds, it is incredibly prominent as translations are increasingly using AI. Do a grammar check. It might be something that just doesn't read right. It seems really weird. Brands and organizations that are legitimate are not going to make huge mistakes. They might make one little one. They're not going to make multiple mistakes in their content. Finally, look for unrelated stock images or misshapen images that may have been AI generated. People with 2 knees, a handful of thumbs, really strange images. Any brand that wants to protect itself and cares about its image is not going to use that type of stock or misshapen image in their presentations. It's a very easy thing to look for because usually there's a pretty glaring mistake. So something to pay attention to. Finally, and most importantly, if something looks or feels fishy, it probably is. AI is going to make a lot of things seem fishy for a while as everyone learns how to use its capabilities. So it's important to slow down just a bit and look closely at everything. And most importantly, again, if it involves providing bank details, PayPal or Venmo information, your social security number, or any personally identifiable information before you've seen a confirmation email, it's best just to ignore it. Now, that's a lot, and I've moved through this pretty quickly. So as I finish up, I want to be sure that we highlight 4 things, and these are the things I really want you to take away from this particular session. Number 1, vary your behavior in devices if you can. Number 2, use sweep-specific profiles. Number 3, read the official rules every time. And if you don't want to do that, at least be sure there are official rules, and they're written in English, and they don't have half a document full of placeholder Latin. Finally, stay alert on social media. Impersonation is and is going to continue to be very common, and it's going to get harder and harder to discern. Remember that nothing is more important than your safety. No prize is worth the risks. If you're unsure if something is legitimate, don't hesitate to ask about it. Ask the question in Conversation Corner. Send it to customer service at SweepSheet. We will be more than happy to help if we can. There's an amazing community of members here who, when you see something that doesn't look right, share it. Someone else may have encountered the same thing, may be able to provide insight. Also, everyone is going to get smarter. So together, that's how we're going to be as successful and as safe as possible. And with that, a big thank you to y'all for sharing this time with me. I'm sure there are questions. If you have any really weird scam stories or wild AI encounters you want to share, let's hear them. Put them in the comments. We'll get a conversation set up in Conversation Corner. Let us know. We'll be more than happy to provide answers to those. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if it's a really big topic, we'll put another video together and we'll dive into that in more detail. But again, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining here today. And thank you for being a part of SweepSheet.